Hey guys, how are you? So this is the editorial analysis of newspapers for today. That is the 2nd of February 2017, and this video lesson will be presented to you by me, Dipanshu Singh. So you can go through this slide to read more about me, and you can also click this link and to follow me and get updates on my courses and on my videos. But please rate and review the course if you think that this course is beneficial for you, and recommend each and every video. So these are the editorials which we'll be covering today. I know it looks a lot, but then I have combined all these 4 editorials from the Hindu, which anyway is filled up with all the information related to budget. And then again, from the Live Mint, there were certain things about the budget and what efforts have been made in the budget regarding agriculture and investment, which were important, and I thought we should consider it in our editorial analysis. So these articles, these 4 are clubbed into one, and then these 3 are clubbed into one editorial. So relevant points for exams, we have separated it out. So the practice question for today is list the objectives and the benefits of the government's e-marketplace, which is an ambitious government policy to move towards a cashless economy. And you can mention your answers on the Unacademy's discuss page by clicking on this bubble, and then you can go through the course thread and then write your answers over there. So let's first then break down the budget 2017. So under Article 112 of the Constitution of India, the Government of India must present to the representatives of the people an annual financial statement at the Lok Sabha of the estimated receipts and expenditure of the government for that financial year. So India's financial year runs from April 1st to March 31st, to which the government is trying to change by introducing it early this year. So why the railway budget is separated? Because it was done by the recommendations made by a British committee in 1924, that is the Ackworth Committee. And then why then again the railway budget was merged? Because this was the first time after such a long period that the railway budget was merged into the general budget. Because many railway ministers have been accused previously of using this railway budget for populist schemes and populist reasons rather than to run the railways efficiently. So this is one of the biggest reasons that the government has said that why the budget has been merged, the railway budget has been merged with the general budget. Now, what are the fiscal deficit targets for the government? So the government has proposed to bring down the fiscal deficit for 2017-18 to 3.2% of the GDP and to 3% in the following year. And if you remember, they have already achieved their previous target of the fiscal deficit target, which is a very good thing and boosts the investment sentiment in the country. But then why there are no separate budget for each ministry? Because it is a very, very huge and a very cumbersome process, and it's practically impossible for every separate ministry to have their own budget. So therefore, demand for grants are placed in every year's budget for the budgetary allocations. But then why the budget was advanced to February 1st? Because it was done to speed up the process of getting the budget approved by the parliament. Because this is done by March end, the spending by the government can begin from April 1st. Before that it was May end. So this actually can boost the economy by increasing and spurring up the growth of the economy by increased investment from the public sector, and then obviously which will attract a lot of investments from the private sector as well. Now, what is the current economy status? So it is on slow growth state as of now. It is now 7.1% from the earlier forecasted 7.6% due to the impacts of demonetizations and other global factors. Now the GST has been proposed and will subsume the other taxes such as excise, customs duty and service tax into one. So there's a proposal of immediate introduction of the GST reforms from April. And then India's GDP currently stands at $2 trillion. And what are the other steps that the budget has taken to create jobs? So the MSME corporate tax rate for these firms with a turnover up to rupees 50 crore has been cut down 20 to 25%. And the government says that the 96% of the MSME will benefit from this, and hopes that they will be incentivized to add more jobs to this economy. Now, apart from that, there has been a focus and impetus on reforming the Indian Railways, because obviously the railway budget was merged into the annual general budget. So the government plans to spend rupees 1 lakh crore over 5 years in the rail safety fund, and that should improve safety standards in the Indian Railway. And the proposal is to spend rupees 1,31,000 crore by the railways. And if you look at for the transparency of political funding, there is a proposal of issue of political bonds for political parties, which any person can buy from registered banks through check or digital means. And Apart from that, what are the proposals in the budget regarding infrastructure and investment? So the government will do away with the Foreign Investment Promotion Board in 2017-18 to liberalize and regulate the FDI, and obviously this is also done to increase the ease of doing business. But only defense and retail, which are under the approval route of FIPB, foreign investors can also invest in India under the automatic route, and the FPI under category 1 and 2 of the alternative investment funds are exempted from the indirect transfer provisions, and future credit to be claimed for 15 years instead of the existing 10 years, and increased allocation to the modified special incentive package scheme, or MICPs, to incentivize electronic manufacturing. Then there's also a proposal of setting up of a resolution framework under the Arbitration and Conciliation Act to resolve disputes in public contracts in the infrastructure sector. So this is very important. This Arbitration and Conciliation Act, obviously it was introduced to tackle the issues of repeated arbitration cases, especially in the context of Vodafone and the one related to the ISRO's Marxist deal. Now these three slides, the next upcoming slides are a summary of the 4 editorials of the Hindu. So I have picked up relevant portions from those editorials and will discuss them one by one. So the budget this year has been basically presented in the backdrop of rising protectionism, twin balance sheet problem, that is the NPA issue, and of banking system, and the contraction of economy due to demonetization because of the lack of spending and consumption. So budgetary outlays were generally positive, but then they were not that substantial. So we'll look at the finer details of the budget. So basically it had restrained from the finance minister had restrained from announcing a universal basic income, even though there is a recommendation for introducing it in the economic survey of this year. So please go and read this survey, the survey and this specific chapter on the economic survey on the universal basic income. It can be very important from prelims and mains point of view. Now the focus on budget was also to increase the consumption expenditure, because post demonetization there has been a decline in the consumption levels, and there's also a focus to increase job prospects and the capital formation, which will in turn boost the economy. There was also a proposal to reduce the tax from 10% to 5% on the tax slabs of 2.5 to 5 lakh rupees income. That would actually spur consumption demand, because people will have now more money to spend in the economy, which will spur up the consumption demand. And then there has been 10% surcharge on income for the high net worth individuals and wealthy people who have an income between rupees 50 lakhs to 1 crores, and that shows resolve of government to improve overall tax collection and tax compliance. Now some other logical steps have been taken, that includes a bar on cash transaction of more than rupees 3 lakh. Obviously this is to check the black money, and then a nudge to businesses to make all payments over rupees 10,000 digitally, and rationalizing the costs of non-cash payments. So this all will check the generation of black money. Apart from that, merger of the railway budget with the main budget, as I told you previously, will help also and develop the transport sector as a whole. This would also relieve the populist tendencies which associated with the railway budget as well. Now, apart from that, abolition of planned and non-planned expenditure, which was actually done on the recommendation of the expert committee on efficient management of public and expenditure in 2013, would actually shift the focus more on public debate to revenue and fiscal deficit, and then adhering to fiscal deficit of 3.5%. For this year, in spite of exceeding the expenditure targets on both the revenue and capital accounts. So this is in actually refreshing contrast to the past, when the fiscal deficit targets were met through the cuts in capital expenditure. So the first time after a long period, the fiscal deficit targets have been met without too much of reduction in spending in capital expenditure, and this has also become possible due to lower crude oil prices and increased customs tax. So there was a lower import bill which boosted adherence to this fiscal deficit target, and also increased collection of customs tax, which obviously generated a lot of revenue for the government. So the fiscal deficit was achieved easily. And by not bowing down in front of the populist demand to reduce petroleum prices, government has actually collected money through customs tax. This would obviously help in aid in capital formation. And then tax to GDP ratio has increased for the first time after a long period to 11.3% from an estimate of 10.8%. So this is showing that the tax compliance is increasing. At the same time, it must be stated that little has been done to rationalize explicit subsidies, which is approximately 1.6% 6% of the GDP. So therefore, no big step has been taken, but then simple positive steps in many directions have been taken to rationalize subsidies. So UBI, if introduced, will go a long way in rationalizing the subsidies. And then there is higher allocation for MG Narega irrigation infrastructure projects. There is more than an increase of 24 to 25% in the budgetary allocation from MG Narega. And taking this, putting textile and other industry into focus, government is resolved on creating more job opportunities in this sector. Then there's a changing quantum of political funding from rupees 20,000 to rupees 2,000 only in cash form, because under this, and they're also planning to introduce the electoral bonds, political bonds. And from now onwards, railway reforms will be done by the finance minister, obviously, since the budget has merged with the annual budget. And there are a lot of challenges otherwise for the railway. That is for signaling the acquisition of advanced signaling for train control, and elimination of level crossing for smooth operation, then replacement of carriages of old design with a better engineer link Hoffman Bush coaches would cost additionally at least rupees 10,000 crore for the government. And on the commercial side, passenger traffic's tariffs are to be regulated and calculated taking into account costs, social obligations and competition from other modes of transport, because obviously the government is also working on the other modes of transport such as the national waterway. And the budget actually does little about the paralysis in banking. So the proposed infusion of capital of rupees 10,000 crore for the public sector banks is actually nothing, because there is no initiative for resolving the non-performing assets issue either. And this would be crucial for banking system, because it cannot afford loans to it cannot afford to give loans to credit when the individual, because they do not have the money, because it is capital starved because of the high NPAs. So this will affect the investment in the economy, and the strict discipline expressed through fiscal prudence would actually attract foreign investment and would create business climate and would and improve the ease of doing business potential in India. So overall, the budget is a more balanced kind of budget without going too much into populist demands. Now, this article talks about the specific issue of agriculture in this year's budget. So therefore, there is a lot of distress in rural India in the agriculture sector. But then, whether this budget favors the individual farmer or farming community or the corporate farmers or corporate sector. So generally, for the farming sector, the finance minister has stated that they will introduce a model on contract farming, and they'll also bring in more regulated agriculture markets on the electronic eNAM platform. So rupees 75 lakh is being provided to link this and regulate the mandis by strengthening it. And the state governments are also encouraged to delist the perishables such as vegetables and fruits from agriculture, so the farmers can actually get better prices, because these APMCs breed a lot of corruption. There's also a strategy to usher in corporate agriculture. So this is signified by the aim to reduce the farming population from the existing to 58 to 38% as per the latest report. So the government is actually trying to reduce the farming population in spite of taking any efforts to double their income. And funding for the rural and agriculture sector would be around $1.87 trillion rupees. That is a 24% rise. Now, if you look at 2016 budget and 2017 budget, there's an increase of rupees 10 trillion from farm credit, and then from 5,500 crores to 9,000 crore in the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. Apart from that, cooperative banks to be brought into the core banking platform, and for NABARD, rupees 20,000 crore for the long-term irrigation fund and for micro irrigation fund with a corpus of rupees 5,000. Apart from that, there will be dairy development fund, mini labs for soil testing will be set up in the 648 Krishi Vigyan Kendras, and the government's goal of doubling farmer income in 5 years. But then it has a lot of hurdles, because there is no clear strategy to achieve this, and the farming sector is severely hit by demonetization. And therefore the farm incomes were plummeted. And apart from that, agricultural growth, even though it's expected at 4%, but this is due to not due to government's measures, but due to the abundant monsoon. And if you look at the National Crime Records Bureau, it has estimated a lot of farmer suicide for 2015. A lot of them, even the food bowl of Punjab, the food bowl of the country Punjab has lately turned into a suicide hotspot, because Punjab has a 90% cultivable area under a short irrigation, and the crop productivity matches with the best in the world. But then with 45 quintals per hectare productivity of wheat and 60 quintals hectare for rice, Punjab tops the global chart. But then there are obviously issues of increasing the farm incomes in the state of Punjab as well. So all these suggest that the farmer and the farming sector is in crisis, and the budget should have actually taken some steps to save them. So what are the solutions that can be suggested? So a hike in MSP along with 50% profit as recommended by the National Commission of Farmers. Apart from that, expanding irrigation and raising crop productivity is the way to enhance farmers' income. And the budget should have, and the government should have given a tax release for farmers, because as per economic survey, their income stands meager at rupees 20,000 a year for the farming families. And therefore, if you look at these measures, this budget moreover suggests that the government has moved away from the days of green revolution and ventured more into corporate farming, and reducing the number of families dependent on the agriculture and farming sector. So this is it for this video, guys. Till next video, hope you have a good day, and thank you so much.